Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're actually going to get started installing this stuff, so let's get going. Okay, so we're doing the engine crossmember first. A bag of engine hardware here. See what it is. Key, a couple of stainless steel, 4 of these guys here. Alright, and what I'm going to do in this one here, so you'll see where these go here in a minute. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use 5 of the factory bolts here. These 4 held on these guys. These were the above the factory splash guard. They protected the front suspension arms. So I'm going to use those 4, and then this is one of the original splash guard bolts. And then I think we're going to have to use these in the back because they're longer. Okay, so get your engine plate in place. I've got mine on a floor jack, as you can see. All your tools and bolts in a nice pile. Right. Start bringing this guy up to where it belongs. I'm using a long Phillips screwdriver for alignment tool. See if I can get one bolt started over here. I do. Now I'm going to try to get one started on the other side. Oop. That one doesn't want to start. We'll start this one instead. Those 4 holes there that those larger ones are in probably haven't been out. You don't need to remove those bolts to take the factory skid plate off to do any service. So you don't have to worry about the Quickie Lube guys or dealer guys or any of those guys. I gotta bring this up higher so that'll start. Any of those guys, stripping them out and cross-threading them, all that. Just gonna run these up a little bit, not tightening, just closing the gap a little bit here so that I can get that center bolt in, which I suppose I could do with the floor jack. Do it that way. Not sure if you guys can even see what I'm doing back up in here. Ouch. That one's still not starting. Okay. It's going in last. Alright, now we're going to go back to the back. Work back there for a bit. Okay, now we're at the rear of the engine skid. You can see up in here, shine the camera up in there, you can see these are the original factory holes right there and right there where the factory splash guard's mounted. These are the stainless steel fasteners that came with it, so we're going to apply some anti-seize to these per the vendor's recommendation. There we go. And I'm even using the Allen wrench they gave me so I didn't have to dig mine out. Pretty simple. We're just going to get this guy in here a couple turns. Easy peasy. There we go. Just run that right up in there. Sorry, I'm blocking you. For now, we want to leave these kind of hanging so that the transmission was going to go up inside here. So There, the engine one is in loosely, except for one bolt up front. Okay, I put the unused engine hardware back in the engine bag so we don't get confused later about why we have leftover bolts. We know why in this case. Throw that over there. Okay, before we go any further, we've got to address the cross member for the transfer case skid plate. That bolts over, this side bolts over to the frame. This side right here bolts over to the frame where we remove that heat shield. And then this bolts to the cross member. So let me get this underneath there. Before we do that, we've got to replace 2 bolts in the cross member. That's these guys right here. There's some long bolts go through the cross member. They need to be longer to go through these holes here. So we'll swap that out next and get this cross member installed. Okay, I think I got everything down here I need. So we're gonna support the cross member with a bottle jack. Kicking it old school here with a bottle jack. Yeah, right about there. And I'm just going to bring this up just until it touches. There we go. And there we go. So now one of these might be loose, one might not. That one will come out. We get our new ones here. Ready? And we tap that one out. And slide a new one in. How many washers do we use here? Alright. 6 washers, because we're going to have to stack some on this side. So we're going to put 1 washer on the bolt. Slide through. Like that. Give it a couple love taps. There we go. Now then, that one is holding the weight, so let's try going up just a smidge. There we go. See how that just loosened right up? That guy out. Another bolt. One washer. I like to put them on the correct way. Run it through here. There we go. All right, so now in order to make this a plane across here, you put these washers on like that. And that should be pretty close. Get it out of the way. I don't know if we use these same nuts over or not. That's the same thread, they sure are. I guess we have to. They didn't give us new nuts, so you gotta reuse your old nuts. Alright, so take this guy. It slides right on like this. Boom. There we go. Start a nut. Start a nut. There we go. And we will torque those later. They get torqued with a torque wrench. All right. Okay, we're back over here on the driver's side. The end of this cross member. You know, I know I said I was going to clean up under here, but I didn't. So this bolts into this one bolt for that guy. And again, the kit came with some stainless steel hardware, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the factory one. Although this one is a lot longer. You know what? I am going to use the one they gave me, I think. Yeah. All right. Bolt goes in right here. I'm going to get where I can see. Getting anti-seize all over the place. I was going to use one of the factory bolts here, but the stainless steel one that came with the kit's a bit longer. And so I chose to use theirs. All right, so I'm going to set that up. The other thing we got to do over here, and if you look online at the Bud Built site, I don't know if they reference this piece yet. This is a, remember we took that big heat shield off up here. In their video, they modify the factory heat shield and put it back on, but now they're shipping this. So this goes on like so, right there. And it came with 3 pieces of stainless steel hardware. But on this one, I am going to reuse the factory Toyota bolts. I'll put one in right there. If you guys can see or not. One goes up here. We got one back here. And then there's another one up here. Again, I'm not sure if you guys can see what I'm doing. And that's loosely installed. Again, I'm going to come back and torque everything. So I'm back under here with my torque specs. Torque spec for this guy is 21 millimeters, so I'm going to get that up there nice and snug. But here we go. And we're just going to bring this guy in here. Calling that it. Okay. Now then. I don't like this here, so I went over and dug through the bin of factory bolts that I took out, and I found one. There's a nice big washer on it. I'm going to pop that guy out of there. And I grabbed, this is one of the factory ones out of, I think, the front or one of the skid plates, maybe the fuel tank, probably the fuel tank. It's nice and clean, hasn't been screwed up yet. So we're gonna run that guy in there. That's a 12. There we go. So you get the torque wrench again. Put the 12 on it. All right. Everything over here is torqued. That's flush. All right, now we got to go do that cross member. These guys are still, as you can see, loose. Ran the bolts through. That one has some stress on it, so it's not wiggling. So I want this up as high as I can get it. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple pumps on the jack here. Again, I'm not trying to lift the vehicle up. I just want to make sure that I've got this pushed nice and snug up against there. These guys get torqued to 81 pound-feet. That's your 17 millimeter, which is still on my impact wrench. So I'm going to put that on here. And I'm going to have to hold the head of the bolt. I'm just getting this all set up here. The head of the bolt's going to be spinning on right there. These are 19 millimeter. These are the bolts that came with the kit. The factories were 17. And the nut's 17 because that's factory nut. So I'll just put my 19 millimeter on back here. My torque wrench on here. All right, we're gonna change sides. We're gonna have to torque these from the bolt head side. Okay, I'm outside the vehicle on the passenger side now. Better. There we go. Calling that one torqued. Now then, we got to come around to this side. And the cross member's torqued. Back at the workbench, this is the engine hardware bag. Remember I used some factory fasteners, so I had leftovers here, and the same with the Crossmember. So I'm going to put those back over there on the pile. Next we're going to do the transmission skid. So this is the bag for it. Got 2 carriage bolts, a long one and a short one. The short one goes on the driver's side, I believe, and the long one goes on the passenger side. It's for clearance for the catalytic converter. A couple of big flat washers, 2 lock washers, 2 nuts. I've thought about putting Loctite on these, but they say anti-seize. It has to do with galling, I believe it's called, when you tighten stainless fasteners. But I also know guys that have these have to go around and retighten them occasionally. So I guess I'll just stick with anti-seize, and then if in the future I have any issues with them loosening up, then I'll throw some blue Loctite on there. All right.
Hope you guys can see this. Let me get this set up into those 2 slots. More. Alright, I'm going to stop right there and go check my alignment. There we go, right there. Boom, slid in. Right up just a smidge more. I'm going to use this driver's side bolt as an alignment. Get it up in there. Right, I got to run it up higher, but I have it lined up now. So there, if I can run it right there with get the jack up there to hold it in place, there, then I can start putting in bolts and start nuts. Okay, on the driver's side now, you'll see what I mean with the spacing up in here, where the maybe up just a smidge. Up in here, the catalytic converter is. So we've got 2 bolts. We're going to use the shorter of the 2. And as I said earlier, I'm going to follow the manufacturer's recommendation and put anti-seize on it. And I'm not sure how much you're supposed to put. I know the stuff that drips on the floor doesn't do any good, but well, I'm the same way with Loctite. Alright, so let's try to get this up through here. I gotta lower my floor up jack just a smidge. Got a little bit greedy with that. There we go. Alright. There we go. And I can feel it up here on my finger. Right there. And it's proof. See? See that off. So we put a large flat washer up here. It might be easier to go from the front. This is much easier. And then a lock washer, which I'll try to get you guys in on the other side so you can see this. There's the lock washer. I can't see either. And then a nut. Heavy breathing here. Alright, I'll drop this down a little bit so I can get that nut started. Ta-da! Run that by hand. Alright, there. That should hold that. Alright. Alright, now we'll go to the other side. Okay, we're over on the passenger side now. Hopefully I got it set up so you guys can see. On the carriage bolt up, you're looking at the top of the crossmember. There's my bolt hooking up through there. So then we're going to drop on the flat washer. We're going to drop on the lock washer. And then we're going to put on the nut.
This is for the T-case. So this is interesting. When it came, you recall from the first video, that crossmember was bolted to the skid plate. Crossmember and skid plate were bolted together with these 3 bolts, washers, and nuts. And the bag comes with 3 stainless steel bolts, flat washers, lock washers, nuts, and this guy. So we're going to figure out how all this goes.
Okay, I had tightened these before prematurely. I loosened them back up because this slides on top of the transmission plate. Just like so. Let me get right in there. All right. And then we run a carriage bolt here. We'll do this one first. I think you guys can see this pretty well. Run a carriage bolt up through here. And I didn't put anti-seize on this yet. I just want to get one in here to hold it. Flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. This is pretty easy. So I'm gonna get all these guys anti-seize put in place, and then we'll move on. This other bolt that was in the bag goes right up in here. That sandwiches those guys together like that. All right, now we're almost ready to start getting all this stuff tightened up. I've got one more plate to put onto the back for the fuel tank. I'm going to do that next, and then the last one is the one up front. So we'll be right back and we'll take care of all those. Hey guys, this video was taken longer than I expected, so I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for right now, and then we're going to finish this install in the next video. Thanks for watching.